Hello, my name is Stitch, and today I will discuss the 10 guiding principles for instructional technology and distant education instructors. Principle 1. I advise distant education instructors to understand distant education and traditional instruction are effective forms of learning, all dependent on how they are delivered. Clark discusses that distant education and traditional learning are no different than one another in the effectiveness of learning. Principle 2. I advise distant education instructors to use media and technology to pass the message of information to the learner, not to think of it as a teacher. Clark discusses how media and technology are used as vehicles to pass the message across to the learner and should never be thought of as the teacher. It is important teachers should not rely on media and technology to teach a student. Principle 3. I advise distant education instructors to understand what type of media and technology should be used to achieve their learning objective. Salmodino discusses about selecting strategy and resources, which is a component of the Assure model, which requires selecting the correct media or material to help guide instruction for learning. Some forms can be from visual, text, or audio. Principle 4. I advise distant education instructors to show a form of presence in communication to support students during a course of instruction. Moore discusses that teachers' presence is an element that is used in the community inquiry model. Instructors must be able to support students during distant education classes, so email and telephone calls should be quickly answered. Principle 5. I advise instructors to construct an online group activity to ensure there is a social presence between students. Moore discusses in the community inquiry model in having a section of social presence, which involves students being able to socialize and engage with one another in class. Small group activities and discussion questions are recommended to ensure engagement with classmates is achieved. Principle 6. I advise instructors to construct cognitive activities in distant education courses to help build critical thinking abilities for students. Moore discusses about cognitive presence as another element in the community inquiry model, which is the learning process of the student. Principle 7. I advise instructors to change the dynamics of instruction for distant education courses by utilizing different forms of media to help continue the engagement of students throughout the course. Salmodino discusses the importance of engaging learners by not keeping the course load the same throughout a student's learning experience within a class. Many students end up dropping out when feeling bored in classroom. Principle 8. I advise distant education instructors to understand the difference and forms of media technology before preparing a lesson plan for a course. Salmodino discusses that media is the message that is being passed to the learner, while technology is the equipment used to pass the message. Principle 9. I advise distant education instructors to give students feedback in a reasonable amount of time to help students see their progress within the course. Salmodino discusses a component in the Assure model, which is required learner participation, which requires feedback toward a student in a reasonable amount of time so students do not feel lost or confused with course material. Last but not least, Principle 10. I advise distant education instructors to construct an evaluation survey at the end of the course to evaluate their course and revise it if needed. Salmodino discusses the last element of the Assure model is evaluate and revise your program curriculum based off feedback received from evaluation surveys. It is important to see if the objective was met, and if not, to think of a different way to achieve this outcome. Thank you. This concludes our 10 guiding principles for distant education courses.